All right, folks. How's everybody doing? We are live again. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? Hope you all are well. We're doing something a little different from what has become our regular anti Semitism detection around this planet. Um, just want to see one thing here. Oh, okay, that's in a different window. That's cool. This one I'm going to switch over here. Perfect. So, this video we're looking at today is titled Leftists Accuse Me of Stolen Valor. Big mistake. So if you look across X, across YouTube, you'll see a bunch of people questioning and responding to what apparently looked like or looks like a case of potential stolen valor from Andrew Wilson. I don't take stolen valor lightly. If I see that there's a potential case or it's apparent that there might be stolen valor happening with an individual, especially with someone who has, I think, a history of bad faith, unhelpful behavior, I think it's important to call it out and point a finger at it. But it's important to phrase it properly. And until we have and give a chance for the person to respond from something that I think is worthy of social pressure, people shouldn't definitively say, like in this case, that Andrew Wilson has engaged in stolen valor. So if you look up Andrew Wilson's stolen valor on YouTube, you're going to find quite a few people who were curious, suspect about this with Andrew Wilson due to some conflicting accounts he has given himself in different online appearances. And I want to just give you a few notes as to why I think it's important to call out potential instances of stolen valor. So, from a well being perspective, I am a moral well beingist. My moral quest is to maximize well being, physical, mental, and social health for myself and those around me. Calling out potential stolen valor matters because false claims of military service can create real harms beyond mere offensiveness. The key is to investigate them carefully rather than treating suspicion as proof. It protects earned recognition. Military service can involve significant sacrifice, danger, family disruption, disability, and psychological burden. Falsely claiming comparable service can appropriate social status that others actually earned. Yeah, we're going to go through all the information here. I forgot to tell people I am live. There we go. I forgot to share my stream with everybody. All right. Have all my windows up. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This needs to go there. What up, everybody? Thank you. Thank you for being with me. Make sure you smash that like button when you get into the room. But let's continue doing some reading before we get into this video. Valor in this regard, it protects. Oh, well, let me start this part again. So, why it's important to call out potential instances of stolen valor. We already did the first one. Let's look at the second one. It protects trust. People often give veterans additional credibility, respect, employment consideration, charitable support, political authority, or social standing. Fabricated service exploits those trust mechanisms and makes everyone more suspicious of legitimate veterans. It prevents material exploitation. The strongest cases involve someone using false military claims to obtain money, employment, benefits, votes, donations, business opportunities, or other advantages at that point. Other advantages. At that point, the well-being harm becomes much more concrete. It discourages deceptive status seeking. If prestigious identities can be fabricated without scrutiny, dishonesty can become strategically rewarding. Public accountability helps maintain incentives for truthful self-presentation. Now, not in all circles, but in the circles I dwell in, Andrew Wilson is viewed as a deeply dishonest human being. Not just as like an intellectually dishonest debater, but a deeply dishonest human being. He has gained that reputation. Whether you want to say it's born purely out of bias, whether you want to say it's not empirical, but from the people I talk with, the people that talk with me about Andrew Wilson, they're all convinced that he is a dishonest, in general, a dishonest, unhelpful human being who claims to be a Christian and acts like nothing of the sort, if you take into consideration that Christians should be embodying the example of Jesus in some way. It protects historical and institutional integrity. Military records and terminology mean something. Inflated combat claims, invented decorations, or false descriptions of deployments can distort public understanding of service and warfare. It supports epistemic well-being. A healthy information environment requires people to be able to distinguish documented biography from exaggeration, misunderstanding, and fabrication. There's an equally important countervailing well-being obligation, though. Accusations of stolen valor can themselves cause major reputational, professional, and psychological harm. Calling someone a fraud when the underlying issue is an ambiguous statement, forgotten detail, shortened service, medical discharge, or misunderstood military terminology can be seriously unjust. So we do have to be careful with the kind of language we use, the precise language we use when talking about people who could be potentially, or it seems to be the case, that they are engaging in stolen valor. So the well-being oriented standards should be investigate potential stolen valor aggressively, accuse conservatively. So when we examine this video, we're going to look at any of my quote unquote accusations and see if they could be considered conservative in how they're framed. I also want to see if, because apparently Andrew Wilson responds to my video in this that I did on the potential stolen valor. Let's go to let's go to this video, and we'll have this standing by just in case Andrew doesn't play the whole thing. A responsible fact check should be distinguished between confirmed falsehood, misleading embellishment, contradiction, imprecise language, unresolved discrepancy, and a fully corroborated service claim. The objective should not be humiliation. It should be maximizing truthful public understanding while minimizing avoidable harm to both genuine veterans and people who may have been falsely accused. So we'll see if these seemings with regards to, and one of my things that I wanted to see, because of what the evidence was showing, some discrepancies in what Andrew Wilson was saying about his, claimed military service. There were discrepancies. So what I wanted to see is some kind of acknowledgement, some kind of clarification from Andrew Wilson. I think that's important. I think stolen valor is an important enough issue that if you are putting information out there into the world that is vague and it's contradictory, like we saw in the video I posted, I think it's important to clarify that information. So let's take a look. So apparently, Mr. Andrew Wilson. Hey, that's my voice. So apparently, Mr. Andrew Wilson.
Now, to give you the background on this gentleman, this is Travis Pangburn.
Let's see if he gives a an accurate depiction of my background.
Host, he is a left-winger who has tried to break into the
Ooh, a left-winger. Yeah, I guess I'm center-left. That would be accurate.
Debate scene, hosting debates between right-wingers and left-wingers. However, he engages in shady business practices, as we're going to get to. And here he has decided to come up with a conspiracy.
What? He's been trying to get into the debate game. Let me go back. I got to hear that framing.
However, he engages in shady business practices, as we're going to get to.
I need to go back a little.
And
so apparently, Mr. Andrew Wilson.
Now, to give you the background on this gentleman, this is Travis Pangburn. Host, he is a left-winger who has tried to break into the debate scene.
Tried to break into the debate scene. I mean, I broke very heavily and strongly into the debate scene, hosting many debates starting in 2016, many intellectual discussions. And yeah, one of our biggest accomplishments was in 2018, the Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson series, which was a 4-part debate series that has accumulated tens of millions of views all over the internet and has been very impactful in people's lives. That particular series, events like Dillahunty versus Jordan Peterson, Dillahunty versus D'Souza, Alex O'Connor versus D'Souza is another big one on our channel. So yeah, we've been doing this for 8 years. Well, actually, I guess we're at 10 years now, I should say. So anyways, yeah, long history. People can look on our website and see the long list of history we have producing live intellectual discussions and debates.
Debates between right-wingers and left-wingers. However,
sometimes we do that.
Engages in shady business practices, as we're going to get to. And here he has just...
Ooh,
decided to come up with a conspiracy against me, which has its roots in notorious liar and slanderer Tree of Logic. Let's give this a watch, shall we?
Remember, Andrew Wilson is about to start this after I first said, apparently, Mr. Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor. And for the stream, apparently, so I put it up here so Andrew Wilson can learn something about language. Apparently is an adverb meaning that something seems to be true based on what you can see, hear, or read, even though it is not yet fully confirmed. One more time, Andrew. I'll do it very slow for you. Apparently is an adverb meaning that something seems to be true based on what you can see, hear, or read, even though it has not yet been fully confirmed. So we learned a word starting with A. Can we say A? A. Hey, Mr. Andrew Wilson. And we'll see who's the one spinning a conspiracy theory here. We'll see. Wilson is engaging in stolen valor.
What? Oh boy, engaging in that old stolen valor, says Travis Pangburn.
Well, I said apparently. Let's listen to the whole thing. I got my video up here. Let's listen to the start. We'll all listen.
It doesn't matter what happened.
Here's from the actual
So
video.
apparently, Mr. Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor.
So apparently, Mr. Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor. I didn't say, Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor. I'm using a fallibilist posture in the way I'm using that language, which is an important piece of missed context that might just go over the head of Andrew Wilson and his audience.
All this, of course, cited to Tree of Logic. Set?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years.
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
Yeah. It was about a year.
Wasn't very long, about a year. Now, here I am on a TikTok invasion. And during this TikTok invasion, instead of allowing these people to deflect to something that is irrelevant and is meaningless, right, in order to move the conversation, the argument along.
In order to move the conversation and argument along, I'm going to say...
I just say no, and we move.
I just say no, just to move the conversation along. Is that what is he honestly saying that? So if this is what he's saying, this is so dishonest.
In order to move the conversation, the argument along, allowing these people to deflect to something that is irrelevant and is meaningless.
I'm not going to let them deflect to something that is irrelevant and meaningless. So what, are you going to lie here? Let's see if it's a lie.
Right. In order to move the conversation, the argument along, I just say no, and we move along.
So did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Before these scams.
Irrelevant to the argument, and so...
Irrelevant to the argument. So did you lie there? You just said, no, I didn't. Let's go back for the record.
Say no.
This is why this is suspicious as fuck, dude.
And we move along.
So did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Before the...
So he said, I did not. No, I did not serve. Whereas he said in the other appearance, public appearance, that he did serve. So which is it, Andrew? This is why people have been saying something doesn't seem right here, something shady. But Andrew's sitting here saying, seemingly, well, I lied because I wasn't going to allow them to deflect. Why didn't he just tell the truth again and say, I don't want to talk about this topic? Does his audience actually fall for this crap? That is really embarrassing. I'm sorry, but if that's the argument he's putting forward, let's listen to more.
Irrelevant to the argument, and so there was no reason to bog it down. This was an argument about whether or not people should vote.
irrelevant to the argument, so you felt the need to lie about it, why would you lie? If the answer was yes, just say yes, but I'm not going to talk about that. Let's stay on topic. Why lie? This just demonstrates that you are going to lie in a situation like this throughout the course of a debate about things, when people are going to ask the question at the end of the day, why did you lie? Why would you lie in that situation? So what's going on is the internet, people on X, people on YouTube are holding you accountable for your lie that you just told. You just told your audience, well, yeah, I said that because I was trying to move the conversation along. What you should have said, and again, you're not being honest in your depiction of what you just showed. You should say, yeah, I lied because I wanted to move the conversation along, because I didn't want to get it misdirected into some other conversation about that. Tell the truth. Don't lie. That's the lesson here. Don't lie. That's why people are questioning whether there's something suspicious going on with you and this stolen valor thing, because you lie. And you're being deceptive again in how you're presenting this lie.
Based around service or not service.
Scammers cry about me taking this out of context. Here's the full context.
Here's the full context. That's quite the voice.
No, that's pretty much independent of intelligence.
They seem to be joining the Army based around patriotism, the ability to get paid, the ability to do things like that. What's that?
When were you in the Army?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
I was in the very limited amount of time, years and years and years ago.
The Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
This is off the top of my head because it was 20 years ago.
Because it was 20 years ago, you forgot how much time you spent in the Army?
Top of my head because it was 20 years ago. It wasn't very long. About a year. About a year.
About a year? How close is I wonder if Andrew's going to deliver the evidence to see if this was actually a year, or if about a year can be justified.
Yeah. So what happened?
Well, it doesn't matter what happened.
Oh, but we're talking about service, man.
What about it?
So you want to?
Yeah, we're talking about service, man. This is an important topic. Andrew's just trying to hand wave it away. People take this topic really seriously of stolen valor. So do I. I just read off the beginning of this episode why, as a moral well-beingist, I find this to be really important for us to call out people who are seemingly engaging in stolen valor. That doesn't mean they are, or apparently engaging in stolen valor. Doesn't mean they are. It means that there is enough evidence to want to publicly question it, to publicly call it out and say, what's going on here, man? This looks deceptive. This looks weird. So it's virtuous to call this out. And when this guy in the podcast, we're talking about service, man, and Andrew doesn't seem to understand the importance of this.
Disenfranchised.
Just people prying for information, right? As is very typified. Got blocked by that.
Just people prying for information, right? Yeah, he couldn't legitimately be concerned about the potential stolen valor here.
Gen chick on X apparently calling someone a bleeping low IQ is frowned upon. Probably
People based on military service. I actually know why most.
What are you talking about? How would I disenfranchise them based on military? Anyway, this guy was really stupid and didn't even understand the argument. As I was pointing out to him, if it was the case that we base this on military service, how would you get disenfranchised if you served in the military, dumbass? That makes no sense. It's dumb service.
No,
it would be the opposite.
If you're requiring people to serve.
No, it wouldn't require them. Even Naima had to correct him because of how stupid her boyfriend is. To serve in the Army. There had to be some sort of service which was rendered before you were allowed to.
By the way, if you want to know how widespread the concern was about this apparent stolen valor situation related to Andrew Wilson, go search YouTube. Look at the actual veterans who are talking about this issue and why they are concerned, giving their reasoning, why it seems suspicious to them. Go on X as well. Go around and see how many people are also we're also concerned about this.
To vote, yeah. And I reinforce the position here. The service wouldn't necessarily require military service.
Like military?
Military service, maybe. Wouldn't necessarily require. Reinforce the position here. The service wouldn't necessarily require military service.
Like military?
Military service, maybe.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
So then you wouldn't qualify, huh?
So he's now saying he did not serve.
Did I say it was exclusive to military service, though?
Well, I don't understand. What other kind of public service could you do?
I just gave you...
Just so we don't lose track of the context here, let's go to this. Why don't we watch? It's only 2 minutes and 45 seconds, so people can see this video. Window capture. Andrew Wilson is stealing valor? Question mark is the title. The title of my video is not Andrew Wilson is stealing valor. Andrew Wilson is stealing valor? Question mark. Let's watch the whole video I put out. So apparently Mr. Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor.
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
I was in for about a year. I did not.
Before these scammers cry about me taking this out of context, here's the full context.
And that's pretty much independent of intelligence.
They seem to be joining the Army based around patriotism, the ability to get paid, the ability to do things like that. What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
About a year. So what happened?
Well, it doesn't matter what happened.
Oh, but we're talking about service, man.
What about it?
So you want to disenfranchise people based on military service? I actually know why most people join the
What are
Army.
you talking about? How would I disenfranchise them based on military service?
No,
it would be the opposite.
If you're requiring people to serve
No,
in
it wouldn't
military.
require them to serve in the Army. There had to be some sort of service which was rendered before you were allowed to vote, yeah.
Like military?
Military service, maybe.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
So then you wouldn't qualify, huh?
Did I say it was exclusive to military service, though?
Well, I don't understand. What other kind of public service could you do
just
besides
gave you-
defending your
I
country?
just gave you several.
Excuse me, I know that you're a red pill mother, but here's the deal. I'm going to put you on
I don't know the context of this, but I don't know why this person freaked out like that, but
mute while I finish
that'll
because
teach
you
me.
clearly don't let women finish.
You asked me a question, though.
So, yeah, so there's nothing more
you clearly don't let women finish. Interesting. Does he have a history of that? By the way, that's a double entendre.
patriotic and more civil service in your point of view, that, or my point of view, than there is defending your country, which you didn't have the testicular fortitude to do. And so for you to go, maybe if you served in the military, is wild, Andrew.
Stolen valor is the act of falsely claiming or implying that you served in the military, or exaggerating your military service, valor, honors, etc. Stolen valor typically harms well-being, physical, mental, and social health by betraying veterans who genuinely endured trauma, creating resentment and distrust, damaging the liar's integrity and psychological stability. When it comes to social health, this can diminish trust between citizens. This can also cheapen honors that exist to honor extraordinary sacrifice. This is also direct evidence of bad faith engagement. It violates honesty and sincerity of intention. People like Andrew Wilson, who seem to be lying about military service, should be held accountable for things like this. Yeah. So I think those seemings are justified. And I think the question whether Andrew Wilson is stealing valor or not is justified. And I think I am justified in putting this video out. based on what the public record was showing. This we can close now. Let's go back to this.
Defending your
I
country.
just gave you several.
Excuse me, I know that you're a
Excuse me, I'm talking. That chick was such a bitch.
red pill mother. But here's the deal. I'm going to put you on mute while I finish
that'll
because
teach
you
me.
clearly don't let women finish.
You asked me a question, though.
So there's nothing more patriotic and more civil service in your point of view or my point of view than there is defending your country, which you didn't have the testicular fortitude to do. And so for you to go, maybe if you served in the military is wild, Andrew.
By the way, that chick lost that debate badly.
Stolen valor.
So to get this right, the way that I stole valor was when I was asked a question on the Whatever podcast, I honestly answered the guy. And when I was doing a TikTok invasion where I go in under a pseudonym because otherwise I can't get these people to talk to me at all, I told them I basically to move the conversation along and because let's be real.
To move the conversation along and let's be real, you lied, right?
Right. I don't really consider, well, we'll get into that. But anyway, that's it. That's their whole.
He just, I think in a very dishonest fashion there, just stumbled through the part where he doesn't want to say he lied, but he lied. When you lie, it raises suspicion. And it gives reasonable grounds for people to be like, what the fuck? The information you're putting out there seems contradictory with regards to your claimed military service. So people like me who care about the problem of stolen valor are going to call you out when we see these lying signals. And Andrew's not wanting to say that he lied, but he's like, just to move the conversation along, he should say, I lied. But he doesn't want to say that. And maybe some of his audience is going to be tricked into believing he didn't lie, or they might think it's okay to lie like he did in that conversation. But so what this whole thing is going to be is a great lesson on lying, but also we're going to get into why conspiratorial line drawing or conspiratorial thinking is a brain bug. I need to go back to, where is my other window? This one, right? Or I need to go back to my DMs. Well, I can pull that up when the time is needed. Okay.
Whole evidence of stolen, that's their whole evidence, and it all comes anyway. That's it. That's their whole evidence of stolen. That's their whole evidence, and it all.
It's evidence enough to raise the question and to call you to release more information or to clarify yourself because we're talking about stolen valor. It's an important problem. It's an important issue for all the reasons I read at the beginning of this episode.
All comes from Tree of Logic and this idiot, Travis Pangburn.
Valor is the act of falsely claiming or implying that you serve. It all comes from me. Everyone go onto YouTube, onto X. The people who are definitively saying that Andrew Wilson has stolen valor, see how much attention those people are getting compared to my itty bitty video that's titled Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor ? And I say, apparently Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor and he's seemingly stealing valor, like things like this. Yeah, so this video I put out is a challenge to him to clarify this issue because it's a serious issue. But he has just admitted in this video already that he has lied about this. And then he gets all butthurt when people call him out for the inconsistency in his with regards to his military service.
Served in the military, or
It's not, but I'll just grant it.
exaggerating your military service, valor, honors,
Yeah, that's more like it.
etc.
Yeah, well, Andrew, how are you going to debunk being a reptilian? Yeah.
Stolen valor typically harms well-being, physical, mental, and social health by betraying veterans who genuinely endured trauma, creating resentment and distrust.
They literally did. They fell for a bit. These people fell for a TikTok bit. That's how.
Andrew, you should be listening instead of reading your chat, listening to what I'm saying as to why you shouldn't lie about your military service publicly. Because you said you did in one hand, you said you didn't in the other. You've outlined twice in this video where you admit to lying about it. That's a problem. You should be paying attention, whether or not you did serve or not. You should be paying attention to this video as to why it's important to tell the truth about your military service when that question is asked. But he's effing around, looking at his chat, not listening, doesn't care about the severity of stolen valor, it seems. It's just, I mean, it's not a good posture.
Stupid they are, along with left-wing extraordinaire Travis Pangburn here, who actually, I think, knew that it was a bit and doesn't care.
How does he know that I knew it was a bit, like he's describing? First of all, the person who posted that on X pointed out actual contradictions in your presentation of your military service. That's what they did, and that was true. And you admitted that the reason why there's that discrepancy is because you lied. You lied, Andrew. And you're trying to deflect your lie onto me. And you're trying to engage in motive attribution. Okay, you know what? I'm going to read his mind for a second. I think he did know that this was a bit, that this was all false. What? It's your lie, dude. Own your lie. What does it say about lying in Christianity? This is just another one of these things where Andrew Wilson is not a good man by his own stated Christian purposes. He's a bad man. He's a guy that goes on the internet and says all women are retarded when he's got the eyes of the world on him in his Candace Owens debate. You think that's consistent with what Jesus taught? Do you give a shit about what Jesus taught? And if you do, and you seek to embody that to some degree, you're acting irrationally towards that. So you're not only admitting that you lied here, you're also showing that you're an irrational man.
Care made the whole thing up.
Just damaging the liar's integrity and psychological stability. When it comes to social health, this can diminish trust between citizens. This can also cheapen honors that exist to honor extraordinary sacrifice. This is also direct evidence of bad faith engagement. It violates honesty and sincerity of intention.
Yeah, when people are bad faith, I'm bad faith back to them, you piece of shit.
Notice how all he's engaging in is a negativity bias lens. This is a sign of someone who's quite a low resolution, simple-minded thinker. He wasn't able to acknowledge that true helpful information as to why people shouldn't be engaging in stolen valor to his audience when he's live. He was just sitting there. He's just viewing me in this sense through a negative utility lens. That's all. Notice how when that woman who was freaking out at him, I was able to lens that and be like, why is she freaking out at, I don't know why she's freaking out at Andrew Wilson like that out of nowhere. I don't understand this context. I'm not sure Andrew as a thinker has the ability to do that. If you don't have the ability to switch between positive and negative lensing on issues like this, that's what creates a fundamental bias in the way you view criticism, like this is a piece of criticism, how you view the world, etc. But this is showing how Andrew Wilson responds to what I think is legitimate criticism. We have shown so far, and we're just into the start of this video, that he lied about his military service during shows. And instead of owning that lie and clarifying, he's trying to say other people are the problem for taking his lying seriously about military service. That's what's happening here. All right.
People like
Now,
Andrew
you might want to
Wilson.
wonder why it is that Mr. Pangburn here seems to have a bone to pick with me.
Yeah, why does Mr. Pangburn here have a bone to pick with innocent old Andrew Wilson? It couldn't just be what I outlined in the video. Why stolen valor is a problem, why it seems to be the case that Andrew could be engaging in stolen valor, why apparently Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor question isn't a reasonable question to raise. Yeah, so let's get into some more mind reading. Let's engage in some more motive attribution. What's the real reason going on here? Yeah. Sounds conspiratorial to me.
If you guys have ever seen him before, after all. So why does Mr. Pangburn hate my guts so badly?
I don't hate Andrew Wilson. I think Andrew Wilson does a lot of hateful things. I don't hate him. I think he's a bad man, and I can demonstrate that to him. Bad man by his own standards, bad man by a moral well-beingist perspective, the way he treats people, the way he bullies others. You know, the lying is obviously a problem. Like, he couldn't help but not admit his lying, even in this, which is a form of lying. So lie on top of a lie, dishonesty, that kind of thing. So bad faith history. And very unhelpful. Attacking women, you know, very infantile behavior, attacking people. All kinds of instances I've seen online. I mean, I don't think it's difficult for people to understand why someone could find Andrew Wilson to be unhelpful in the way he communicates with others, especially those that he views as enemies. Like, he says ridiculous low resolution things like, I hate the left. Like, that is such a low resolution, anti-Christian thing to say, right? I'm not a Christian. I'm an atheist. I'm a moral well-beingist. But Andrew claims to be a Christian, and on the other hand, he claims to hate the left. So don't drag me into your hateful game, Andrew. I'm not even a Christian, and I have a less hateful posture than you have. So, you know, that's 1 for me, 0 for you with regards to walking in the steps of Jesus's example. And again, I'm an atheist.
That he ran with a tree of logic, out of context bunch of clips, right? And
there was enough context in those clips related to your direct questions related to your military service. That was all the context that we needed to raise this particular alarm issue, concern about, you know, you're admitted lying about your military service publicly.
In order to try to frame me as a stolen valor.
And I hope in this video, Andrew Wilson shed some light on his actual military service, because he has lied. Said he did serve, didn't serve, you know. Very quick bathroom break, very quick. So something about Andrew Wilson is I did reach out to him and wanted to give him an opportunity on the Pangburn stage. Why was I interested in that? The same reason and things that drive me to want to work with all kinds of people. All individuals are different. All individuals have a lot of places where they can improve as human beings. I feel like throughout the years, we've been doing this for 10 years, by putting some people like Andrew Wilson in a good faith, helpful space, which the Pangburn stage demands for, we those demands fall on the interlocutors themselves. Someone like Andrew Wilson can start to become more honest and more helpful in his interlocution. I think if you look at someone like Destiny, who I think has always been a highly good faith guy, but he, I think, has struggled with the problem of being unhelpful in debate sometimes when things start going south. And but if you look at Destiny's track record on the Pangburn stage, and he's done a lot of events so far, I think he has really improved the level of helpfulness he brings to contentious conversations. You can look at his conversation with Konstantin Kisin, how he handled where things did not start off well in that conversation. And instead of going into like massive tirades of attacks against Konstantin Kisin, there's a particular moment he takes a deep breath and he's like, let's try to regroup. Let's try to get a handle on this conversation. Also, if you look at the anti-Trump debate tour featuring Destiny, all those videos that we have on our channel, Destiny puts together a real strong, good faith, helpful effort in all of those events. So when I look at wanting to give opportunities to someone like Andrew Wilson, it's because I think we can that there's something to work with there and that we can do better. That's my key goal. I to this day, moving forward, forever until the end of time, I care about Andrew Wilson's well-being. I, as a moral well-beingist that has a moral quest to want to maximize well-being, physical, mental, and social health for myself and those around me, Andrew Wilson is not absent that. He gets my full moral consideration. So that's why I will reach out and give opportunities to people like Andrew Wilson, and people will criticize me for it. When I had mentioned to some of my Pangburn producers and admins that I was going to reach out and try to give Andrew Wilson an opportunity on the Pangburn stage, they were like, don't waste your time. He's a bad faith, dishonest individual. He's unhelpful. He is completely the opposite of what Pangburn is all about. And I didn't take that as like a piece of information that means I should just throw Andrew away. I took that on as like, okay, then this will be a great challenge for us to try in our own way to get the best good faith, helpful effort out of Andrew Wilson on the Pangburn stage. And the particular event I offered to him was a debate with Richard Carrier, which he ended up doing at Modern Day Debate when Andrew and my communication broke down. And I was told that this communication is aired in this video, so we will go through that in great detail. Okay. Let's continue, shall we?
Recipient because I answered a question honestly on the whatever podcast when I was asked. Grok prompt I used against your claim your pick was a stolen valor recipient because I answered a question honestly on the whatever podcast when I was asked.
No, Andrew, you're deflecting from the other time where you lied, because if you actually did serve in the military, then you wouldn't lie about that. You shouldn't lie about that. You should just say, yeah, I did. And if you think someone's trying to pull the conversation in a particular direction, I mean, you're a professional debater of sorts, right? You should be able to handle that without lying. Oh, I just said that because I wanted to move on with the conversation. No, I'm not buying it. I think you just lied. You got caught by a bunch of people. They're calling you out for it, including me. And that's what happened. I mean, your audience might believe what you're saying here, but yikes.
Grok prompt I used against your claim your pick was AI. If you consider that toy is often autocorrected from you, wouldn't indicate the person made an error instead of AI. Well, it's not AI, so there's that. Part 2, it's also likely the white mouse cursor is his own mouse pointing to something. Yeah, that's what the mouse was on the thing that came around. So anyway, that's it. I told him the truth. I was just like, hey, look, I was in the Army for a short amount of time, right? Got hurt, washed out. That's it.
No, that wasn't it. He's literally lying to his audience right there. He said that was it. No, there was a contradiction. That's why all of this controversy has started and people are making videos and asking you to clarify and calling you out. That's not it. You're staring into the camera and lying again to your audience.
Pretty easy, right? Literally all I said.
Oh, man.
When I'm asked this question, I usually just don't even bother to discuss it because it's very trivial and meaningless.
Then say you don't want to discuss it. Don't lie. Don't say no if you actually have served, when in another case you've said yes. That just makes you a liar. Don't lie.
To me, and always has been. It doesn't have a lot of meaning. The 20 years ago, who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit about stolen valor? It was 20 years ago. Again, if this isn't a stolen valor case, great. But a big problem here is Andrew Wilson's just lying again. There was a lie in the video. That's what caused people to be concerned about this. He's not taking any of the responsibility himself. Yikes.
So why does Travis Pangburn hate my guts so badly?
I don't hate his guts. I don't hate his guts. He just makes that up. That's motive attribution. Oh, he's doing this because he hates my guts. No, dude. Do you claim to be an empiricist? You should just spend time focusing on the evidence. Someone said, who is this? Thank you so much for the super chat. Matt who? Matt Dillamonkey says, you're equivocating on an offhand statement and being pedantic. Oh, again, I'm the problem. I am the problem, everybody. Not Andrew, who's lying. You're being pedantic about his lie. Come on, dude. He has been open on his service as short-term and medical discharge and showed his DD-214. Maybe he shows that here. Maybe he gives evidence. But there's a contradiction in what was said. That's why I post the video. Your contradiction has been clarified, and DD-214, you're dead. Dilla Monkey, weren't you a Discord member for a while? Thank you for the $20 super chat, by the way. I will respond to all super chats. So we'll see what he clarifies about this, but I think it's really funny that, like, this conspiracy spread because there was no good reason. It's because they're on the left. Like, that kind of attitude is like, really? You don't think it's because you were saying contradictory things like we just went through at the beginning of this video and you lied? You don't think that's the issue? Thanks for the $20, Dilla Monkey.
That he decided that he was going to make a, quote, stolen valor video that then these morons decided that they were going to run with without doing. So why does Travis Pangburn hate my guts so bad?
I don't hate your guts.
That he decided that he was going to make a, quote, stolen valor.
I'm holding you accountable for lying on that one occasion that caused this, where people ask the reasonable question is he engaging in stolen valor? We're getting contradictory answers here.
Video that then these morons decided that they were going to run with without doing any of their due diligence whatsoever.
There was enough due diligence in this video to ask the question whether you are engaging in stolen valor, Andrew. Remember, it was your lie.
Well, here's where the conspiracy gets interesting. 1 second here. Let me pull this up for you guys. It's just
by the way, if Andrew Wilson did engage in stolen valor, it wouldn't mean that he would still not be welcome on the Pangburn stage in the future. I've worked with all kinds of people and had people on the Pangburn stage who have, some of them have committed federal crimes who have been on the Pangburn stage. I have no problem working with criminals, liars, etc., so long as while they're on the Pangburn stage, they make a strong, good faith, helpful effort. That's what's important at the end of the day. Just because someone has broken the law or done some shady things in the past or whatnot doesn't mean I feel morally justified to throw them in the trash and that they should not have any opportunities. Yeah.
Just lovely. This is a DM set back and forth that I'm about to read to you from Mr. Travis Pangburn, the same person who made that video. This was in May 10th of 2025. This video that he made, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Let's see. It was When did he make this? 1 month ago. So not in 2025.
What?
Mr. Pangburn.
Wait, what was that?
When did he make this? May 10th of 2025. This video from Mr. Travis Pangburn, the same person who made that video. This was in May 10th of 2025. This video that he made, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it?
So June 10th, 2025. And he's trying to draw some, I think, conspiratorial line here to the video I put out. Yeah, I think it was like a month ago. Andrew Wilson, stolen valor. Yeah, I put out a month ago. And he's like, wouldn't you know it? He's trying to draw some kind of silly line here. Let's see. Let's see what's going on in that brain.
That I'm about to read to you from Mr. Travis Pangburn, the same person who made that video. This was in May 10th of 2025. This video that he made, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Let's see. It was When did he make this? 1 month ago. So not in 2025.
What is he talking about? I think like maybe he was expecting that it would be closer to when our communication broke down about him coming onto the Pangburn stage. I think that's what he's going for there, but then he's like, not in 2025. What is the point he's making? Wouldn't you know it? He released this a month ago. Yeah. And
Mr. Pangburn DMs me and he says, "Hey, Andrew, I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get you on the Pangburn stage for a few debates."
well, if he's going to read it, I might as well pull it up. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's open up X. Let's open up X. Oops, chat. There we go. Probably squeeze this window a bit. There we go. And let's take a look at the whole thing. Window capture. X. Let's look at X. Oh, I recently also sent Andrew a good job with regards to, what did I say? Did I say good job? What did I say? I said, well done, Andrew. The data clearly shows that you dominated this debate. His debate against Candace Owens. I don't know if Andrew's going to include that information because I feel like he is stuck in negativity bias mode against me. And when people get, like, it's completely obvious to people who are, you know, not low resolution thinkers, when people are stuck in that mode and they can't see any kind of like counter evidence to their current feelings or position. But let's crop this a little bit. We got Andrew Wilson up top. Let's do this over here. I can make it bigger. Maybe I'll make Andrew Wilson's screen smaller. There we go. Since we're going to do this. I mean, I normally don't like the idea of like taking people's private DMs, airing them out in public. I don't do that. I can't remember if I've ever done that with somebody. I don't think I have. Their emails or DMs. Yeah, I think it's bad form and unprofessional to do that. But since Andrew has brought this up and he's going to go through it, we might as well look at the actual text. Okay. All right. Where's my window?
And I said, what's that? I don't know what that is. What's the Pangburn stage?
Let's see.
He says,
so let's go up. So I said, hey, Andrew, looking forward to seeing if we can get you on the Pangburn stage for a few debates. He didn't say, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is but he said, what's that? Fair. I sent him, the Pangburn YouTube link. We've worked with the world's top authors in science and philosophy. I'm thinking your debut on the Pangburn stage should be versus Lawrence Krauss, debating the existence of God. With new debaters on our stage, we typically start low for a fee for the first event to gauge the personality's audience pool. You and Krauss would both receive the same offer in a smaller theater to start. It would be $1,000 guarantee plus 50% of the net ticket revenue. If you're in, I'll explore some dates with you and Krauss and see what works. Andrew said, travel expenses, question, all covered. And then some time went by. And I said, hey, man, just following up on this. I just spoke to Krause, and he is dealing with some things at the moment and isn't available. But I think you and Richard Carrier would have a fantastic live discussion on the existence of God. I'm in touch with him at the moment. Andrew says, I'm fine with that, depending on the topic. I'm easy to work with, so I'll just be super blunt. It really comes down to the money offer. And we'll see if the easy to work with part comes true here. Copy that. I'll get back to you soon on this. While I hear back from Richard, I believe he is on vacation at the moment. I would like to book you in for a God debate against Dennis Prager's left-wing Jew atheist nephew, Don Prager. The deal would be the same as for Richard. $1,000 guarantee plus 50% of any net ticket revenue. If you're in, let me know where you are based out of so I can think of an appropriate location. Thanks. God debate, ? He says. Being, I think, quote, does the God of the Bible exist would be great. The format would be open dialogue like we did with Peterson/Harris. And most recently, Alex O'Connor versus Dinesh D'Souza. He says, that's a topic for a Christian apologist, which isn't true, by the way. Andrew claims to be a Christian. It's a topic for everyone. But he can have his opinion. I would like something like, are Christian ethics better than secular ethics? Or do atheist societies produce better outcomes for people? The debate you are talking about is a presupposition debate based on epistemic claims. No, it's not a presupposition debate. It never has had to be a presupposition debate. Yes, it is going to be an epistemic debate, of course, but it's not going to be a presupposition debate. Presuppositionalists think they kind of rule the roost on this. If he says you are talking about a presupposition debate, meaning that there will be presuppositions with regards to the positions in that debate, then that refers to every single debate that has ever existed. But he's talking about like presuppositional apologetics here, which is silly. He says, not really my wheelhouse. Jay Dyer would be better for that. I was speaking with Jay Dyer at the same time during this as well, close to around the same time. Then I said, quote, are Christian ethics better than secular ethics works for Don? I'll send you some potential dates. We'll very likely want to do this in NYC, New York City. Send some dates. I'll take a look at them. He says, now does this other dude get a section of the ticket sales as well? And I said, Don won't be in on any... Why is my phone? Oh, at some point, I'm probably going to have to take a call, just so you guys know. So I'll step away. I'll have to take that call. Hopefully it won't be more than a few minutes. But then some time went by. I said, Richard Carrier is on board now as well. I'll send you some firm offers soon. What email can I use? Just use this. So far, I'm getting the sense from Andrew that he's kind of short, not a very professional communicator, but I was primed by a lot of people, and I am no expert on Andrew Wilson or who he is, his character, but I was told by some people I trust a lot that, you know, he's going to be very difficult to communicate with, to handle, and I was like, okay, that's okay. I've had to deal with difficult people in the past. So it's not like he's been hyper difficult. He's just been a bit short, and which is fine. I say, are you free for November 8th in New York City? Richard Carrier versus Andrew Wilson. Topic would be something like, are Christian ethics better than secular ethics? Then he says, which are better for society, Christian ethics or secular humanism? I said, would you be open to our Christian ethics good? He said, that's a trap. Would he be open to our secular ethics good? LOL. No, this a paradigm debate about how society is run and affected by both paradigms. We both have a positive claim. He doesn't want to take a positive, and then he follows up. Was this like, yeah, right after? We both have a positive claim. And then he jumps to, he doesn't want to take a positive position, even though I am willing to. Pussy atheists. This is where I was like, this guy is strange. So Andrew's talking to someone who's offering him an opportunity to debate on the stage. I'm used to dealing with very professional people who engage in a professional way, but he jumps to, at no point, I am asking him certain questions, and presenting certain topics. At no point have I said, this is coming from Richard Carrier and I'm just some middleman. I'm just asking him, I'm brainstorming some topics with him. And then he says, and we'll eventually watch Andrew's video and see what he says about all this. But he says he doesn't want to take a positive position, even though I am willing to. Pussy atheists. It was at this moment I was like, they weren't lying about this weird, strange, unhelpful behavior from this guy. Give me a 1 second pee break. 1 second. All right. But this is what negativity bias gets you. It causes you to think poorly, think bad. Andrew Wilson, in his mind, thought Richard Carrier was producing these questions and presenting these potential, debate topics. And he wrongfully stated he doesn't want to take a positive position, even though I am willing to. Pussy atheists. Lot of evidence that this is born out of negativity bias. It is literally poison for the mind. Don't lean into your negativity bias. It's not a good thing to lean into. That's going to produce a high resolution picture of what's actually going on in reality. So I said, this suggestion didn't come from him, but I am bouncing these ideas off him now to see what he thinks. Then Andrew goes, oh. Richard Carrier has agreed to your proposed topic. Christian ethics versus secular humanism. Which is better for society? Andrew says, let's do it. I'll send you your contract here shortly. This will be at Bronxlandia in New York City. We were just there. Great venue. Wish you guys could do it in gun-friendly states. I'd feel a lot better. We'll keep that in mind for the next one. What are the dates here? November 8th. That may conflict with DebateCon. Never mind, should be fine. Do you have high-res images of yourself for the poster design? Yes. Sweet. Please share. Well, I'll share when I have a poster and contract. So he wants to see a poster that doesn't have him in it before he issues high-res images of himself. So I've been doing this for 10 years. This is the first time anything like this has happened. We'll share when I have a poster and a contract, etc. LOL. So the LOL thing is also like, why is he laughing out loud? Sending strange signals. And then here's the contract. Just need a signature and date on the last page, or I can email you for digital signature. And then he screenshots in response, and rightfully so. He says he's citing me. The deal would be the same as Richard, 1K guarantee, plus 50% of any net ticket revenue. So this contract, I should have looked over more closely, but it was sent to me at a very busy time from a staff member who up to this point had a perfect record for when they sent me. I mean, I make more mistakes on contracts than the staff member does. They got confused about the terms, even though I sent the terms to them correctly. And it was fine. It was an honest mistake. There have been mistakes in the past in our history with contracts, and speakers or debaters will be like, oh, actually it says so-and-so's name here, or you didn't include travel expenses in the contract, or something was missing. We take it back, we correct it, get it signed, perfect. Sometimes even after signing, people will be like, oh, I signed it and I sent it back to you, but I noticed we should clarify, I'm not going to be able to share the promotional materials to all of my social media platforms for various reasons. And then I think about that and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. We can just make this email between us a confirmation that I've agreed to that. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, we do these deal memos, these contracts, but if there is an honest mistake that has happened, if something has happened, whichever way, it's always just something easily that like we can easily sort it out, right? And that was not the response we got from Andrew. Lol, what the fuck is that, dude? $500? I think I'll pass. Bad way to do business, by the way. It was a typo, I said. And what I meant by typo is that the information in the contract right here was not copied and pasted properly. So this was obviously not what we had agreed. Andrew Wilson will be guaranteed $500 USD as a fee. Andrew Wilson agrees to keep his fee confidential. Pangburn will cover the cost of all travel expenses. So that should be $1,000, and it should include 50% of the net ticket proceeds. So it was a mistake. And that's what I meant when I said it was a typo. If I was being more precise, I would have said it was an honest mistake by my staff member. They sent it to me. I'll take full responsibility for it. But I mean, what I can recall is I was really busy and I was like, why is he freaking out like this? If there's an error like this, does he think I'm not going to correct the error? And I just responded like, it was a typo. Typo. Was typo, he says, was not including the ticket sales also a typo? Yeah, that's what I meant. There's a mistake in the contract. Yeah, the whole payment section was copied incorrectly. Our mistake. Apologies. We can adjust. No thanks. Andrew Wilson is running a business here where if you make this kind of error on his contract, no thanks. Sending over a formal contract, missing the price mark by half, and not including the critical part of the agreement looks malicious to me. Why does it look malicious to you as opposed to something that is just an honest mistake when the person who delivered it to you said this was an honest mistake? You're choosing to believe that there's something malicious about this. You're saying it looks malicious. Why? Mistakes in contracts happen all the time in all fields. It's not like a unique thing in like, oh, Pangburn is doing this because he's trying to pay me less money. Does he think that this contract would be valid and sound and acceptable if he would have signed it and not realized what he signed? Like, does he think contracts are binding in that way? That's not the way contracts work. He could easily say, I'm not doing this event unless that contract is changed. Easy fix. He says, I put that in the same category as con. So we went from willing to do an event together, an honest copy and paste mistake is made for his payment, which is completely reasonable for him to point out, by the way. But again, it shows his unprofessionalism. This is not how you point out a contract mistake given to you by a company that's giving you an opportunity to debate on their stage. This is not how you respond. This is drastically unprofessional. Not that he said that there's a contract mistake and we got to get this right before he signs. But then he goes full conspiracy. Yeah, this is looking malicious to me. I put that in the same category as con. In what world would this be considered a con by any legal authority or by any person who has a grasp on what con means from an academic perspective? Con doesn't include handing over a contract and then you pointing out the error and then us saying this is an honest mistake. The whole payment section was copied incorrectly. Our mistake, apologies, we can adjust. How is that con? And I say, he says, good luck to you in your future endeavors, but no thanks. I said, I'm starting to get frustrated with him. I think you should offer a little grace here. We are issuing many contracts for many different shows, and sometimes there are mistakes. My team is usually very accurate, but have made a mistake here. In this business, contract errors do happen, but we do apologize. I'm surprised this would make you walk. If there is an error in the contract, typically it is pointed out and we adjust. And then he says, yeah, typically that's the case for me too. I understand mistakes happen. I also understand that I'm supposed to count on you to actually be upfront with ticket sales so I can correctly get paid the right amount. So again, now he's bringing in this other like question about motives of whether he's going to get an accurate depiction of the actual ticket sales because of this copy and paste error. This is where it started feeling like, and in combination with all of the other evidence through this communication, that that this wasn't only a very unprofessional thing that was happening here. And of course, mistakes do happen in the professional world. We're willing to own that mistake. But now he's starting to talk about whether or not we would be honest and delivering ticket sales information to him. He said, maybe you have a few debates in the works, but not so many you should lose track of this. So he's saying typically, he's agreeing that typically he would agree to what I'm saying here, in that if there is an error in the contract, typically it is pointed out and we adjust. He's saying, yeah, typically that is the case. But he's saying it doesn't matter because you should not lose track because, because you have only a few debates going on. He said maybe 3, I'm guessing. There just isn't enough of us to meet the demand. Remember, there just isn't enough of us to meet the demand. Remember, I've been on both sides. What does he mean here? There just isn't enough of us to meet the demand. Oh, enough debaters, maybe? There isn't just enough of us to meet the demand. Remember, I've been on both ends of it. Yeah, I don't know what this has to do with, like, why that follows from what he has said here. That shot a red flag out the size of a Death Star. So this error in Andrew Wilson's mind, we can get an idea as to what happens when the negativity bias kicks in. He is viewing this mistake as the size of a Death Star, a red flag out the size of a Death Star from this mistake that we said we would just correct and get it back to him. If you have other debaters in the mainstream willing to vouch for you who have done business with you before, I'm willing to reconsider. After that point, I wasn't interested in continuing this. So, I wasn't going to provide him evidence that we're acting in good faith here. I'm not going to play that game. So, Andrew, I've been very patient here. We've offered you a great opportunity to have a discussion with Richard Carrier on our stage, which is home to some of the highest quality live discussions that have ever occurred, in the past 10 years. We have a lot of business going on and mistakes happen. We can fix the error on your contract and get you signed up, or we will move on. Thanks. Move on, he said. I'm so glad you're being so patient with somebody who is infamous for being easy to work with. I hate to break it to you, Andrew. That might be true in like your political circle, in your circles of people who think that, you're a great guy or you're great to work with. But outside of that, like on the left where you say you hate the left, people, and it's not just people on the left, actually. I know other people that don't say this about you, that you're infamous for being easy to work with. You're not easy to work with from my perspective. I don't think you have that reputation. So yeah, I don't know. I'm so glad you're being so patient with somebody who is infamous for being easy to work with. I mean, we could take a poll. We could do a lot of things. Do you think Andrew Wilson is infamously easy to work with? I don't think those poll results are going to be in your favor, and I don't think that's like the general sense of you as a human being. Like notoriously known for being easy to work with, in fact. LOL. Yeah, and I think that's almost certainly not the case, at least from my perspective. And acting as though this breakdown was due to me being unreasonable or something, yeah, I think it was. Contracts mistakes happen. You turned it into some kind of conspiracy theory where your negativity bias took hold and started drawing these lines. Yeah, this is looking malicious to me. It's the same category as a con. Like, come on, man. Post this entire conversation publicly and see if people think I'm being unreasonable. Have a nice day, sir. Well, that was that. And I didn't post this conversation publicly because I don't do things like that unless in a situation like this, someone is bringing this to light, and I think it's important to go through the actual date. And then, as evidence, which I don't know if Andrew shows this or not, that I don't have this blind hatred for Andrew Wilson. After his recent Candace Owens debate, I sent him my post with all of the compiled data, and I said, Well done, Andrew. The data clearly shows that you dominated this debate, which I think only one category, Candace Owens, like based on academic standards of debates, I only think one category did Andrew Wilson lose, and I think it was on conduct. And I think that one of the big moments was when he said that he thinks all women are retarded. Like that's a massive failure from a conduct perspective in a debate. That's direct evidence of unhelpfulness. So anyways, that was the big piece of controversy there. Which, I mean, to this day, I think the whole communication with Andrew, trying to get him on stage for an event, was the weirdest communication. Felt bad faith at times, unhelpful at times, for sure. I've never had a communication like that. Or when I ask for someone's email so we can engage in communication over email, where he wants to do it through X, that part was weird as well. Someone says, Travis, maybe you should have offered a carton of Marlboros. That was my backup. I was just gonna be like, oh, let me sweeten the pot. 3 cartons of cigs. All right.
We've worked with world's top authors in science and philosophy, and I'm thinking your debut on the Pangburn stage should be.
And now let's see his take.
Lawrence Krauss debating the existence of God. With new debaters on our stage, we typically start low for a fee for the first event to gauge the personality's audience. You and Krauss would both receive the same offer in a smaller theater to start. It would be a $1,000 guarantee plus 50% of the net ticket revenue. If you're in, I'll explore some dates with you and Krauss and see what works. And I said, and travel expenses? He said, all covered. All covered. Anyway.
By the way, this is a way not to behave when a promoter, producer comes up to you and offers you an opportunity on their stage. You don't behave like a wiener like this. If they make a mistake with your contract, the good posture is to be like, yeah, no worries. I just wanted to point out that part was wrong, and still looking forward to the event and everything. But yeah, I mean, at the end of that, I was like, yeah, this guy is a dickhead. That's what it seems like based on this communication.
I didn't think much more about it. Went to sleep. Anyway, this is June 11th, right? After I just wasn't thinking about this at all, he sends me this follow-up. Hey, man, just following up on this, I just spoke to Krauss, and he's dealing with some things at the moment and isn't available, but I think you and Richard Carrier would have a fantastic live discussion on the existence of God. I'm in touch with him at the moment. And I said, I'm fine with that, depending on the topic. I'm easy to work with, so I'll just be super blunt. It comes down to the money offer. Copy that. I'll get back to you soon on this, he says. Gets back to me, and he says, on June 16th, and here's what he says. While I wait to hear back from Richard, I believe he's on vacation at the moment, I'd like to book you in for the God debate against Dennis Prager's left-wing atheist nephew, Dandon Prager. The deal would be the same as for Richard, $1,000 guarantee plus.
It's Don. Get it right, Andrew. Don Prager. He's Jewish.
50% of any net ticket revenue. If you're in, let me know where you are based out of so I can think of an appropriate location. Thanks. Okay. I said, God debate, though, being what? He says, I think, does the God of the Bible exist would be great. The format would be open dialogue like we did with Peterson Harris and most recently Alex O'Connor. And I responded to him. I said, that's a topic for a Christian apologist. I would do something like, are Christian ethics better than secular ethics? Do atheist societies produce better outcomes for people? The debate you're talking about is a presuppositional debate based on epistemic claims, not really my wheelhouse.
Which it's not, but that's okay.
Jay Dyer would be better for that. He gets back to me June 17th. Are Christian ethics better than secular ethics? Works for Dan. I'll send you some potential dates, and we'll very likely want to do this in New York City. I said, send some dates. I'll look at them. Now, does this other dude get a section of the ticket sales as well? Dan won't be in on any net ticket proceeds. The other 50% goes to Pangburn. We'll formalize the contract once the date venue is set. Now, why is that important to me? Because I sell out every event I do.
I mean, sell out with how many people in the audience? Sell out can mean all kinds of different things, right? And doesn't he almost only, I mean, where else does he do events outside of modern day debate? Like, what other stages is he on? I wouldn't take that at face value when he says I sell out every event that I do. I'm not convinced by that, but
that's why it's important. And because I sell out every event I do, I usually like to have a contract with the people who I do events with that I get 50% of the take. Right?
Of the net take, Andrew. Net. If someone can demonstrate empirically how they know he sells out every event, send me the information. You can email it to me at travis@pang-burn.com. I'm not just going to believe somebody when they say that.
Which I think.
I've been doing this business a long time. Nobody sells out every event. Jordan Peterson doesn't sell out every event. Jordan Peterson's one of the biggest names on the docket. Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't sell out every event. Every.
I think it's fair. And usually the event organizer thinks it's fair too. Most people actually ask for much more, 70, 80%. I don't even do that. I just say we'll split it 50-50.
No, most people do not. I think he's just making that up. Net ticket shares are often not of interest to people who do public speaking and speaking contracts. Like, obviously, if it gets offered, they're going to be like, "Yay, right on." They're more interested in the guarantee. Like when you start producing at a high level, which obviously Andrew Wilson hasn't done this. When the guarantees are up in the 25K, 50K, 75K, 100K, 150K range, these don't come with net deals. The reason why those fees are so high is because of what they can pull, and because the producer can make a net at those prices. So Neil deGrasse Tyson, 100 to 150K per event. That's his fee. But someone who rents out a 3,000 seat venue and sells, a pretty decent premium ticket price, and if you can sell that out, you can make a good amount of money. Steckman says incorrect contracts and versions are sent all the time in corporate America. Seems like Andrew Wilson would have a tough time at a real job. Yeah, obviously Andrew Wilson is new to this. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about with regards to contracts, like reacting that way. Like he's trying. He strikes me as like the kid in high school who's acting like he actually does have a girlfriend. She just goes to a different town. That's what he's kind of reminding me of here. Like I've done, $500,000 deals in this business. I've done hundreds upon hundreds of contracts in this business. Andrew Wilson does not know what he's talking about. He wants to act like he's an authority on this. Doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. And the contract error thing is normal. And we already went through, by the way, just to recap, Andrew Wilson went through and tried to hand wave away why he lied on the one podcast when they asked him if he served in the military. He was saying he was just trying to get through that line of questioning so they could get to the real topic, blah, 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 trying to steer people away from the fact that he actually did lie. And that's what gave rise to all of these questions of stolen valor, which were completely justified, all the questions. Now, for anyone who was out there going around saying Andrew Wilson has engaged in stolen valor or did engage in stolen valor, they would be wrong. But I wasn't doing that. I wasn't going around saying Andrew Wilson did engage in stolen valor. I said, apparently, Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor. Different thing. This is why I put up for all the people who need a little lesson on how what common usages look like for apparently. Apparently is an adverb meaning that something seems to be true based on what you can see, hear, or read, even though it is not yet fully confirmed. Make sense? It should. That's the word.
He says, Richard Carrier's on board now as well. I'll send you a firm offer soon. What email can I use? I said, just use this. He says, are you free November 8th in New York City? Richard Carrier versus...
Does Andrew Wilson have an email? I don't know.
Andrew Wilson topic would be something like, are Christian ethics better than secular ethics? I said, which are better for society, Christian ethics or secular humanism? What about that topic? He said, would you be open to our Christian ethics good? And I said, that's a trap. Would he be open to our secular ethics good? LOL. No, this is a paradigm debate.
See, he's even doing it in that tone, like, no, that's a trap. Like, I'm offering you an opportunity and we're discussing potential topics for the debate. And this is how he's like thinking about it. Like, fuck.
About how societies run affected by both paradigms. We both have a positive claim. He doesn't want to take a positive position, even though I'm willing to. Atheist. He responds, that suggestion didn't come from him, but I'm bouncing ideas off to see what he thinks. And I said, okay. He said, Carrier has agreed to your proposed topic, Christian ethics versus secular humanism, which is better for society. And I said, let's do it. Let's do it. He says, I'll send you the contract here shortly. This will be in New York City. We were just there. Great venue. I said, wish you guys could do it in a more friendly state. I'd feel a lot better. He said, we'll keep that in mind for the next one. I said, what are the dates here? He says, November 8th. I said, that may conflict with DebateCon. And then I checked with James and sent him a DM back and said, don't worry about it. It's not going to. Well, I checked the schedule that I had with James. So he asked for a high-res image for the poster. I give it to him. He says, sweet, blah, 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 right? Seems innocent enough until he gives me the contract.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the big, scary contract with a mistake in it.
Till he gives me the contract. Now let me show you the contract. Here's the Pangburn offer. Here we go.
Oh, he missed when he says pussy atheists. He skipped that unless it got blurted out. But yeah, that was like, speaking of red flags, that was a red flag when he said pussy atheists. Like, I've never in my life of negotiating any contract, in any field of work I've done, had someone like, yeah, pussy atheist, like something like that when we're talking about contract terms. It's really infantile and weird, but kind of speaks to this personality he has of like, and this ethics he has of being like, all women are retarded. It's like, he just hasn't grown up. There's a part of his mind that is stuck in this infantile chain of behavior. And I'm sure that's part of why some people like him, right? I'm just saying that's not a virtuous posture to be putting out into the world. Like,
let me zoom in so that you guys can read it alongside me. It says, official offer between Pangburn and Andrew Wilson. Preamble, Pangburn wishes to present live discussion, blah, 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 blah. Therefore, the terms and conditions set before, blah, 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 blah. PP means Pangburn, blah, 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 right? Doesn't really say much here on page 1. Then we'll get to page 2 of the offer. It says the terms of this agreement is for November 8th. This is a complete agreement between PP and AW in relation to the subject matter. PP will film the event, post contents on their YouTube channel and other platforms. RC may create monetized video shorts, blah, blah, blah. Pretty standard stuff. Until we get here to the bottom of it. And wouldn't
oh, here it comes, folks. It ties it all together.
you know it? This tried to f me over.
This fucker tried to fuck me over, he just said. That's his actual belief.
AW will be guaranteed $500 USD as a fee, and AW agrees to keep his fee confidential. PP will cover all travel expenses for AW. So,
wait, what is this? We talked about $1,000, and we talked about me getting 50% of the net revenue. Let me just check in on this. Hi, Travis. Yeah, the contract terms, the payment terms are incorrect based on what we discussed. Oh shit, Andrew. Yeah, sorry about that. That was a copy and paste issue by the staff. We'll get that fixed right away. I really apologize for that. This fucker's trying to fuck me over. What? Has this guy ever done business before? I don't know. This might have been the first time someone else offered him a contract outside of modern day debate. I don't know.
half of what he promised, no ticket sales. They lied to me.
They fucking lied to me. It's not a mistake. It's a lie.
Now, as you could imagine, I was not happy about this.
Because you're engaging in negativity bias thinking. Something like this makes you not happy. What if your wife overcooks the roast?
Was not thrilled with old Pangburn lying his off to me and then trying.
Pangburn lying his fucking face off to me. It's a contract mistake. Like, talk about demonstrating to the world that you've never done business before. Mr. Andrew Wilson, this video will be the evidence of that. Trying to fuck me over.
Trying to get me to sign a contract that I guess he just thought that I wasn't going to read.
The framing, the negativity bias framing is insane. Unbelievable.
Snake, mother.
Yeah, he's a snake, motherfucker. Offered me this opportunity, made a mistake on the contract he's issuing to me. Holy fuck.
Not being thrilled with this turn of events, I had some words for Mr. Pangburn.
So he is just demonstrating himself to be a low resolution thinker again. This is so low resolution thinking. It's pinpointed negativity bias. All of the other stuff doesn't matter because this is what my emotions are telling me. This is what my knee-jerk emotionality is doing my thinking for me. And that's what I'm going to allow to carry me forward in this negotiation. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to say the other R word, but it is that too.
And I quoted him, quote, "This is what you sent me. The deal will be the same as for Richard. $1,000 guarantee plus 50% of any net ticket revenue. If you're in, let me know where you're based out of so I can think on the appropriate location."
Can you imagine if like a teacher handed Andrew like test results and it said F- failure on it? And then Andrew Wilson was like, this teacher fucked me over. Look, it says right here, I got this answer right. I got this correct. I got this. This is not an F. Fuck this person. It's like, oh, sorry, Andrew, that was a mistake. Nope, you already fucked up. You already showed me that you're a scammer. You're a con artist. No, Andrew, let me just change it was an incorrect, it was an honest mistake. Nope, I'm taking the F-. What the fuck, dude?
Thanks. I said, what the fuck, dude? $500? I think I'll pass. Bad way to do business, by the way. Bad way to do business.
Bad way to do fucking business. Dude, take a look in the fucking mirror. You missed out on an opportunity here. I know he went to Modern Day Debate and they did the conversation over there, which I'm glad they did. Because I think it was an important conversation to happen. But like, holy fuck, man. Just need to fill up my water. All right.
He says, it was a typo. I'm not kidding. He said, it was a typo. And I said, a typo that you didn't include any of the ticket sales. And how do you typo out 500 instead of 1,000?
It was a copy and paste error. Read the message after that, Andrew. Yikes.
Huh? How do you do that? How do you do that? You don't do that. He tried to me.
You don't do that. You can't. It can't possibly be anything else than what Andrew's emotional knee-jerk reaction told him. So, like, you know that notion, facts don't care about your feelings? The facts are, Andrew, that this could have been either the fact that I'm a mustache twisting evil, well, I wouldn't say evil genius for only trying to get away with like $500 on your contract, but mustache twisting, sitting there being like, yeah, I'm going to put $500 to see if he will sign it. Like, this is what he's believing, by the way. I'm sitting there on the contract like, yeah, let's see if he signs this so I can get away with him signing it. Then he will have to do the event. This is showing like the deepest amount of ignorance in how business is done. That contract would be null and void. It wouldn't matter. It only matter, like, even if you signed it, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't be based on our agreed upon terms. Like, this is someone who hasn't done business before. Like, yikes.
Slimy mother.
Yeah, slimy motherfucker.
So I sent it to him and I said, he said, yeah, the whole payment section was copied incorrectly. Our mistake. Apologies. We can adjust. Mind you, I was the biggest debater in that time who was going to go on their platform.
No, you weren't. Inflated ego. We've worked with way bigger figures than Andrew Wilson. Way bigger. He just is completely ignorant on our history, it seems. Yikes. You're not Andrew Wilson. You're not a big debater. You need to stop saying that. You're not a big debater. You're a guy who has gotten some popularity over the years doing debates, but you're debating at Modern Day Debate. That is not a big platform. Where else are you being invited to debate? You're not a big debater. You just had probably what I would call your first breakout eyes of the world on you debate with Candace Owens. I'll grant you that. But you're not a big debater. You're not. You can't sell a 3,000 seat house. You can't. You're not a big debater. You don't understand that you are a very small fish in the debate game. Way bigger figures than you. Ben Shapiro is a big name in the debate scene. Ben Shapiro is. His platform is eons greater and grander than your platform. Different universes. Different universes. I'm not saying we at Pangburn here are a big debate platform, but we have produced large-scale events and debates that have had a lot of impact. But Andrew, to sit there thinking that he's, the biggest debater they ever had. I mean, we've done 5 events with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is massive, massive. He can sell out arenas. Someone said he is the pickle guy, not the debate guy. Yeah, everyone makes fun of Andrew Wilson. Although I have to say something in his defense. I usually get the pickle jars, but there have been some of those in my history as trying to be a big, strong, burly man and I have really strong grip strength. Like, I have hands like frying pans. I have to say, make sure you guys can see. Really strong hands, great grip strength, but sometimes the pickle jar just won't do what you want it to do. We can make his screen bigger now. But that must have been embarrassing for him. Maybe not. Okay. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that.
Not the thing you fuck up with a quote typo on a contract.
Joe Rogan has not brought him on to debate, right? Yes, he's been on Trigonometry. He's been a guest on Joe Rogan, but he hasn't been brought on that platform to debate, right? Piers Morgan would be one. Yeah, that would be one. So we got Piers Morgan. We got Modern Day Debate. So he gets brought on Piers Morgan to debate, correct? Where else?
Track bullshit. Yeah, total bullshit. Lying sacks of shit.
Yeah, total fucking bullshit, lying sacks of shit. Yeah. His infantile persona comes out here. This is actually what I find he's known for, not for being someone who's, what did he say in the someone who's incredibly easy to work with. Incredibly easy to work with means if you make a mistake in the payment section of his contract, then he's going to snap and freak out like this. No, that's not someone who's incredibly easy to work with. That's insane.
So here's what I said. No thanks. Sending over a formal contract missing the price mark by half and not including the critical part of the agreement looks malicious to me. I put that in the same category as a con. Good luck to you in your future endeavors, but no thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, confirm my bias. Yeah. It couldn't have just been an honest mistake like you were told it was. Couldn't have been.
He says, I think you should offer a little grace here. We're issuing mini contracts for many different shows, and sometimes there are mistakes. My team is usually very accurate, but have made a mistake here. In this business contract, errors do happen, but we do apologize. I'm surprised this would make you walk. If there's an error in the contract, typically it's pointed out and we adjust. I said, yeah, typically that's the case for me too. I understand mistakes happen, but I also understand that I'm supposed to count on you to actually be upfront with ticket sales so I can correctly get paid the right amount. Maybe you have a few debates in the works, but not so many you should lose track of this. Maybe 3, I'm guessing. There isn't enough of us to meet the demand. And remember, I've been on both ends of this, the booking and the debating side.
Yeah, what have you booked, Andrew? And what contracts have you received to debate on other platforms? Still a question. Not like the platforms where you go on and it's free. Like, where are you being paid like an exorbitant fee for your personal appearance to sit down and debate somebody? I mean, you can't pull a fee like Konstantin Kisin can. We just had Konstantin Kisin on the stage. He pulls a much bigger fee than you do. That's just one example of bigger names on our stage.
That shot a red flag the size of the Death Star. And if you have other debaters in the mainstream willing to vouch for you, who you have done business with you before, I'm willing to reconsider.
Yeah, when I read bigger than the Death Star, I was like, oh. When someone has that high of a suffering avoidance calculus functioning, they're someone who is really easy to set off. Like, why are these shoes not where they're supposed to be? Like, someone closes the door. Who's slamming the door? Ugh.
That's what I said. If you have people who are large debaters in the debate sphere who are willing to vouch for you, I'm willing to reconsider, Mr. Pangburn.
Yep. I wasn't interested in that.
That's not correct. I always handle my...
I think Andrew also, and I think it was true throughout this, he has a reputation of being manipulative. Like, he wants to make people do what he says. I think we saw that in his weakest moments in the Candace Owens debate, where, by the way, I think Andrew dominated that debate. Easy victory for him. You only need philosophy 101 training in order to point out the logical issues that Candace Owens had. I have all of that data, by the way, at pang-burn.com/analysis. But that doesn't mean Andrew put on some amazing performance. He actually, from like a conduct perspective, put on a shitty performance. You know, there was the embarrassing moment when he didn't know the 7 charges against Tyler Robinson. And again, he seemed like he tried to lie about it, like he did know. But on the other hand, when he named murder, as opposed to aggravated murder, he was still correct in saying that. It wasn't the dunk everyone thought Candace Owens had landed on him, but yeah, it was still, I think, an embarrassing moment for him. Just tell the truth, Andrew. Stop lying. That should be the lesson from all of this, this whole stolen valor thing. Don't lie about what you've done in the military, whether you're lying and saying you have been in the military or saying you haven't. Either way, tell the truth. That's why people are suspicious of you with regards to this issue. Hopefully you disclose the true information. Just give me 1 second. I just have to check my phone. Do you want to upgrade your phone plan? No, I don't. I thought it was an important call I was waiting for. You have an important call coming in today. All right.
My husband's contracts personally and never rely on the requester to draft them. They contacted you, so here are the requirement. Yeah, piece of shit. 1,500 are kind of similar if you're a mile away squinting. Yeah, intentions in, exactly.
Yeah, it's a difference between $500, Andrew. Chill. And the mistake was mentioned that we would reissue the contract. Nope, no second chances on business documentation. That is very stupid. Very stupid.
So he says, Andrew, I've been very patient here. We've offered you a great opportunity to have this discussion with Richard Carrier on our stage, which is home to some of the highest quality live discussions that have occurred in the past 10 years. We have a lot of business going on. Mistakes happen. We can fix the error on your contract and get you signed, or we will move on. Thanks. And I said, move on. I'm so glad you're being so patient with somebody who's infamous for being easy to work with, like notoriously known for being easy to work with, in fact.
There's no way he believes that. Does he actually believe that? You just demonstrated otherwise in this entire video, Andrew.
Me. And acting as though this breakdown was due to me being unreasonable or something, post this entire conversation publicly and see if people think I'm the unreasonable one. Have a nice day. That was it. You. Tried
Yeah, fuck you for making a contract error. Fuck you.
to fuck me over. And he couldn't get
Contract error means people are trying to fuck me over. Yeah, conspiratorial thinking there, buddy.
a single person to vouch for him. Not one. Just negated the entire idea of the ticket sales. I wasn't going to get 50%. It went from 1,000 to 500. He tried to fuck me over.
Could have been fixed in 5 seconds. Oh, yeah, wait. You can't think in that line because you're so overwhelmed with your negativity bias.
So I contacted my buddy James at Modern Day Debate, and I said, I'd still like to do this Richard Carrier debate, and this guy just tried to fuck me over, and you never have. You've always been a straight shooter. You've always paid exactly what you claim you're going to. I've had good experience with you for the most part. I'd still like to do the Carrier debate. So James went and booked Richard Carrier, and we did that now infamous debate. So Mr. Pangburn is really mad at yours truly.
I know you're trying to spin that to your audience. Maybe some of them are gullible enough to believe that. But what you're trying to do is draw a line to this from the stolen valor issue to this issue and trying to say, well, that's why he said this. And that's why people are saying this. Oh, now it makes sense. It was all to do with this shyster Pangburn who was just trying to make an extra $500 and keep all the net for himself, which there's almost always never any net. So that's the argument, everyone. I was so mad that he figured out my strategy of wanting to fuck him over that I went out and made this stolen valor video just because of that. Ooh, conspiratorial line drawing is what that's called. This is bad epistemology, folks. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
He's really not very happy with me. And so
I would still consider working with Andrew, but that kind of way of doing business together cannot happen. It can't. It's bad faith. It's unhelpful. It can't happen that way. But if we could engage in a good faith, helpful way, then we could do some big fucking events together. And I could score him much bigger names than James could at Modern Day Debate. Because honestly, like, and this is no dig on James, but that platform is quite obviously like Andrew Wilson's platform. Like, what other big names are coming to that platform? And I'm talking like big names. Like Konstantin Kisin. You know, you're going to have to put up over 20K to get Konstantin Kisin. Like, what is even the budget at Modern Day Debate for their debaters? Maybe they'll up their game. Maybe they'll start putting together some bigger opponents for Andrew Wilson, but yeah.
So, as a form of maliciousness, he decided to make up this entire con story. This
Oh my God.
is why you shouldn't do business with the guy. Made up an entire con story about me, which was the entire architect of it was Tree of Logic and Pangburn the left.
Yeah, and I made up the entire con story, and I was the one that spread it all over the internet. People can just debunk Andrew Wilson by doing their own YouTube searches of Andrew Wilson Stolen Valor, which you should take a look at it because there's a lot of people concerned. A lot of people were concerned about what Andrew Wilson was saying about the inconsistencies in his communications about his military history. So,
Left winger ran with it, made a video about it out of context, lied about the whole thing. His name is Travis Pangburn. What a piece of shit. Now, of course, when this video comes out, I was laughing my ass off because I thought, how stupid could you possibly be? Like, I have all the evidence that you tried to me over, bro.
Yeah, obviously you don't have the kind of evidence you think you have, and I think anyone who's ever had any experience in business is going to be like, why did Andrew act that way when the person who issued in the contract was like, yeah, sorry, it was an honest mistake, we'll reissue the contract to you corrected. They're going to be like, why wouldn't Andrew just be like, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, I just like, I saw that error, and I just want to make sure we get this right. Like, that's what normally would happen. The way Andrew Wilson starts kicking rocks and acting like a child, this is not normal behavior. This is weird, like 14-year-old boy trapped in a grown-ass man's body behavior. So, I mean, it's appealing to some people, but
why would you go and then try to make this video as your like little revenge plot?
that's in your own mind, dude. That's your negativity bias doing your thinking for you. Could it not be the case that I care about the issue related to stolen valor, and when I see it happening, I like to call it out? Could that not be the case? You're trying to deflect from the actual issue.
I have all the receipts, dumbass.
Your receipts don't say what you think they say. They don't. Notice how, like, when people grow up, when they become adults, they tend to stop saying dumbass and things like that to other adults. Like, there's a way to transcend that. It's called growing up and like forming a higher ethic for yourself, as opposed to like 14-year-old boy ethics. Notice how I'm targeting his ethics, not targeting him personally, not calling him a poopy head or shit for brains. That would be a low resolution ethical posture, which he's full of.
But he did. And wouldn't you know it, a bunch of Candace Owens lunatics who refused to do their due diligence ran with this as though it was ever real, as though
they ran with it because of Pangburn, right? It was all me. You can look at how few views I have on that video, how few reactions I have on it on X. Go look at the other people who were saying that Andrew Wilson has engaged in stolen valor. That's not what I said. I said, apparently Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor. That's what I said. And I'm asking the question publicly and putting pressure on him to do a video like this. But, actually, hopefully he unveils the evidence of his military history.
Though it was ever real. And it's just a leftist smear campaign from a guy who tried to f me over.
Yeah. Okay. I tried to fuck you over. Sure, Andrew.
Because I'm a conservative and thought he could get away.
Oh, now it's because he's a conservative. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's feed the left versus right war. Yeah, black and white thinking. That's what's going on
with it. Let's start with the first claim, the FFL. He's going to need some of that good positive evidence, isn't he? Now, also, these guys think that saying the word positive evidence is a dunk because they don't understand what it even means, and a simple Google search would have taken care of all of this for them in seconds. Positive evidence just means evidence that points to something having happened. Negative evidence means evidence pointing to something not having happened. They don't even know what it means. They think it's a dunk, and they don't even know what it means.
Who's they? Andrew Wilson, by the way, is like low resolution when it comes to his philosophical prowess. People should be like, maybe it's fun to watch some of his stuff, but if you want to become a mid-tier or high resolution thinker, you need to transcend beyond Andrew Wilson. You're not going to get an example of a good, sound epistemic standard or an ethical standard that anyone is going to really call virtuous, I think. Also, his ethics seem to be completely irrational, where he claims to be a Christian, but where is the logical coherence with actual fundamental Christian values? And where is the attempted embodiment of Jesus's example? I don't see it.
Means because they're so stupid. Very, very, very stupid people. Hang on. Let me pull this up for you. Oh, holy sh! Oh, what's this say? Oh, wow. Hang on. Oh, it's a FFL. Oh my God. It's a federal firearms license. You waffle, you moron, you stupid idiot. Oh my God. Look, dealer in firearms other than destructive devices, issued 2017. Wow. It's an FFL. Oh, look. Oh my God. It says, what's that name right there? Holy sh! What's it say? Oh, it says Wilson Andrew on it. Oh, holy sh! Oh my God. Oh, oh, owned. Andrew owned.
What is this? What are we seeing here? Let me blow this up. I can't even see. It's too blurry. Let's try to make this bigger. The actual screen. Let's see. Dang it. Well, you know what? I'm going to switch over. Oh, no. Like,
He's going to need.
let's see. Okay, this is a federal firearms license. Okay. He's showing us his federal firearms license. All right.
You see some positive evidence. There's your positive evidence, you stupid idiot. Dumbass fell for a leftist stop because you're stupid as just dumb as dog shit, these people. Oh, sorry about that.
I don't understand the context of why he was showing us his firearms license.
Look at that. But that's just one. I've had three. I've had three of them, you idiot. 3. But what about the rest? Was Andrew ever in the Army? Oh, my God.
Yeah, were you? Let's see.
A stolen valor from our made-up con. Oh, holy shit.
I'm so sorry that
It's stolen. It's from our completely made-up con that we completely made up. Bam. National Guard Bureau report of separation and record of service.
Okay. Get a screenshot. Bum, 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 bum. I'm just grabbing this document. This seems to be a fraudulent document. No, I'm just kidding. Let's analyze it, though. But we got to start moving through this a little quicker because I have an appointment.
Andrew Wilson. My pay grade was E2 because I got a promotion. I'll get into that for why I did, even though I wasn't in very long. Let's see, the total service for pay, 10 months, 11 days. Total service for retired pay, 10 months, 11 days. So about a year.
Fantastic.
Just like I said. What was the...
We have the evidence. We'll just double check to make sure it's authentic.
reason, though, for the separation, Andrew? What was his dishonorable discharge? It was none of that. None of that. Because just like I said, I got hurt. And there's the Guard 214, just like other people in the National Guard have been using for years.
So yeah, the question is going to be why does he lie lie about this in one of his live appearances. I'm going to die by choking on granola. Like, why did he lie about this in one of his appearances as opposed to just saying, yes, I did serve, but I don't want to get into that. I want to stay on topic. You know, it just shows that he will lie even about this military service, or he has like a knee-jerk reaction to lying. Why would he lie in the first place during the examples that are given in the video, right? In the original video. Why? Because I wanted to move the conversation along. Yeah, he was. Someone's like, he wasn't lying. Where are we at in this video? Okay.
Time if you don't mind me asking.
It wasn't very long. About to Tree of Logic. That's Liar and Slam years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long. About a year.
Yeah.
Wasn't very
So that looked like the true depiction.
very long. About a year. Now here I am on a TikTok invasion.
Here we go. Here I am on a TikTok invasion. Here we go.
And during this TikTok invasion, instead of allowing these people to deflect to something that is irrelevant,
Instead of allowing these people to deflect towards something that's irrelevant
and is meaningless,
what did you do, Andrew?
right? In order to move the conversation, the argument
In order to move the conversation forward, what did you do, Andrew?
along, I just say no, and we move.
I just say no, which is a lie. You lied. I just say no, which is a lie. So now we know, as long as your documents are authentic, that you did serve, right?
Move along.
So did you serve, Andrew?
I did not know.
Before these,
I did not, no, which is a contradictory compared to the first video we saw, Andrew. So you lied on that public appearance. So that's why people were looking at both of these videos and be like, what the fuck's going on here? Was he in the military? Was he not? Like, that's the lie. You lied. You said, in order to move the conversation along, when we were doing this like thing on TikTok, I just to move it along, I said no, which is a lie. You lied. Why is it a lie? Because you did. And then when people question why this discrepancy and you're not responding, you're not putting, providing your evidence, and people who care about stolen valor call you out for it. This is the result we wanted. We wanted you to demonstrate the truth of your service, because you have a history of being dishonest and lying, as demonstrated in this video.
None of that. Because just like I said, I got hurt. And there's the guard 214.
By the way, I don't think it's a good thing Andrew got hurt. That's awful. Not a good thing. I think it's a very honorable thing to serve. And I think that's great that he did, even though it was for a short period of time, 10 months. Thank you for your service. Yeah. But let this be a lesson to you, Andrew. Don't go around the internet lying, whether it's in the positive direction or negative direction, lying about your military service. Because people take that shit seriously.
Just like other people in the National Guard have been using for years. There you go. I was to be assigned to the 221st in Erington, just like I've said. Supposed to be a Cav Scout, just like I've said. There you go. Always let them hang themselves. Now,
nobody hanged themselves, Andrew. You were being called out for lying. We went over your lying in this video. That was the problem. The problem was not people asking for answers, calling you out. I would also say there is a problem with people claiming positively that you are engaging in stolen valor, which I did not do. There's a difference. I was asking the question. I was putting pressure with the hopes that you would disclose this information. To me, understanding you, understanding your history, it could have been the case that you actually did serve. It could have been the case that you were just lying, that you were engaging in stolen valor. But it was up to you to clear that up because you, sir, were the one who lied publicly about this.
there's more. Here's my official discharge papers as well. Wilson Andrew, E2, PV2, 221st
He's doing
Cavalry.
the right thing here, by the way.
Effective
Disclosing this information, clearing up the record. This is the right thing to do.
date, 2nd August 2007, type of discharge, uncharacterized. They actually put a code in the former page, and I'll explain to you guys exactly what happened to me so that you understand. It's a hell of a story, even though it's not at all. Not even a little bit. So, I idolized my older brother. Idolized him. He joined the Army a couple of years before I did, and he was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was sent to Fort Knox for training. And he joined, during wartime. And there's a long tradition in my family of people doing that. And I thought from my...
That's a very honorable tradition.
my stupid view, I viewed my brother as being a hero. I really did.
Someone says he shouldn't need to present this. There's no reason for it. Yes, because he lied publicly about this. He gave mixed signals about his history in the military. This is why many military members, if you look on X, if you look on YouTube, called him out for this. Go look at it. It wasn't just big bad Pangburn calling him out. There's a swath of other people who called him out, ex-military members as well, for this shit because he lied. But that doesn't take away from the honorable thing that it is to join the military, to do service, or this history Andrew's claiming about his family.
I thought of him as being, that's how I viewed him. That's literally how I viewed him. About how trying to be a discount Jay Dyer, yeah. And so I wanted to, he was a 13 Bravo, red leg. I wanted to emulate him in many ways because I had a lot of respect for him. And I thought what he was doing was great. So anyway, I joined the Army in his footsteps, right? Because I also wanted to serve. Anyway, after I went downrange to training, this was I don't know, I don't remember what week it was, 4 or 5. I don't know. Okay. There was a night when I got up and I was going to the bathroom, and you couldn't walk barefoot, right? You had to have socks on and sandals and okay. And I was going to the bathroom, and I noticed there was a bunch of guys who were standing outside of the door.
Let's look at something related to this document that Andrew shared. Component, Nevada Army National Guard, ARNGUS, enlisted September 22nd, 2006. Separation, August 2nd, 2007. 10 months, 11 days. PV2. Military education completed, none. Primary military specialty, none. Decorations, none. Separation reason, failure to meet medical procurement standards. Character of service, uncharacterized. The most important fact is that 10 months, 11 days does not mean 10 months and 11 days of active duty Army service. NGB Form 22 instructions explicitly say that the net service this period is calculated from enlistment to discharge and includes active service. His identifiable active training period is only about 25 days. So Block 18 appears to state IADT 070109 to 070202. That corresponds to January 9th through February 2nd, 2007, approximately 3.5 weeks of training. IADT means initial active duty for training. The active training period used to provide basic military and occupational training for reserve component personnel. And the rest of the form strongly indicates that this initial training was not complete. No military education, no primary specialty, no decorations. This combination is highly significant. It does not show that Wilson completed basic training. This is probably the most important evidentiary conclusion. Someone successfully completing the normal initial entry pipeline would ordinarily emerge with completed military education and eventually an awarded MOS. An official Army Board record provides a useful comparison. One guardsman completed basic combat training, subsequently completed Phase 2 IADT, and was then awarded MOS 12B. Wilson's form instead specifically says military education, none. Primary specialty, number, title, and date awarded, none, nothing follows. He entered initial military training, but apparently did not complete the training necessary to receive a military occupational specialty. This document provides no evidence whatsoever that he was an Army sniper. The form, if authentic, the form proves that Wilson entered in the Nevada Army National Guard and entered IADT, but it shows no completed military education, no awarded MOS, no decorations or badges, and a subsequent administrative medical procurement separation. It remains logically possible that Wilson later re-entered military service. I don't think he's making that claim. What does failure to meet medical procurement standards mean? This is a real military administrative terminology. Official Army Correction Board records contain NGB Forms 22. The later regulation describes the same basic category as separation because of individual did not meet medical standards applicable to military accession/procurement. That generally means a medical condition was identified that would have prevented the person's enlistment or entry into training had it been properly recognized under the relevant standards. Army regulations describe the process as applying where a condition discovered early in initial service would have precluded induction or enlistment. Let's see, based on general acceptable standards, if it's reasonable for him to say that he served.
Which, now normally, the way I understood it was that everybody would stay in a big bay. We actually didn't, because there were so many people who were training at the time. They actually gave us rooms, and there was about 4 or 5 of us to a room. Okay. So as I go in, and I'm trying, I just want to go to the bathroom. They're standing and they're like, we can't get into this bathroom. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of strange. And when I put my ear up to the door, I could hear somebody in there, and it sounded like they were choking. So I grabbed the door, and it was pretty much flimsy and wood, and I yanked it as hard as I could and busted it open. I ran inside, and there was a kid in there who was actually, he was hanging himself. That's what he was doing. And, it was a bad scene. So how he did this was he had opened up the stall door, and there was like little coat rack hooks on the stall door. And he had tied his legs together, and then he had tied a piece of wire around his neck, and he had put it up on that stall door on that hook. And then he just dropped straight down. And because he had tied his legs together at the knee, he couldn't bend them. So he was just sitting there strangling. He was just dying. So I ran over, and I grabbed the top of the stall door, and I ripped the whole door down to get him on the ground, to get him to start breathing again. And he did, right? When he was on the ground, he started breathing, and finally a drill sergeant, he wasn't even an actual drill sergeant, he was like a drill sergeant in training, basically, ran into the bathroom. And, I'm sitting here with him, and we're pulling this off of this kid. And his eyeballs was like bulged out of his face, because when he had dropped, right? I still don't even know how he accomplished this, but when he dropped, it like gave him a shock right to the throat, and his eyes were like bugged out of his head. So anyway, we got him down, and then, medical came over and this type of thing. And, they moved me over to basically a drill sergeant's office, where they're trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. And anyway, the post commander came actually down. His name was Groves. And he came down and came into the room. And he actually, he didn't just shake my hand, he gave me a hug. And he was like, this should never have happened. This was awful. It sucked. It wasn't good. Okay. But he said he was going to put in a good word for me. And I guess he must have, because the next week I was, I don't remember if it was the next week. I don't remember. It's 20 years ago. You know what I mean? I don't remember. But it was like within a few weeks or something like this, when I was out training, I was a squad leader. And we were just doing regular exercise. We weren't even getting smoked. We were just doing push-ups. And my side started to hurt real bad. And so they asked me to fall out, which I did. And they took me to the hospital. They found a condition. I'm not going to get into it. But the condition existed before I joined, and just nobody knew about it. Nobody had any idea what the condition was. They just didn't know. I didn't know. Medical screening didn't know. Nobody knew. So anyway, they sent me home. And then they parked me with another company for like 10 months, where I still went and I did training and I did all of that. And during that time, they promoted me from E1 to E2. And I always assumed that it had something to do with that because I didn't understand why the fuck I was getting promoted. But I got promoted from an E1 to E2. Yay. Whatever the fuck that means. But that's why I always thought that had probably happened, was because of that. Pre-existing condition results in an ELS, which is why the discharge is uncharacterized. Yeah, there's no dishonorable discharge, nothing like that. I went, I did the best that I could do. I had an existing condition that I didn't know that I had. And that was it. But this was not a fun time for me in my life. I don't really like thinking about that stuff. And so I don't like to discuss it. I don't like to talk about it. It's not fun for me to do. And I don't care. It has nothing to do with anything that I do. There's no reason I should have to talk about experiences that I had 20 years ago. They're not relevant to anything. And nobody's ever looking to get more information about me because they want good things for me. They're always looking to get more information about me so that they can stalk my family, stalk my friends, and turn the lunatics of the internet loose on the people that I care about.
Well, nobody should be stalking Andrew Wilson or his friends or his family. No one should be fucking with him in that way at all. That's a very tragic story he told. Just terrible. And the the medical condition being unveiled. It does say here he has about 3.5 weeks of training. He didn't complete any of the training, but this information that Andrew's giving here, I think fits the evidence that he's provided. Obviously, we can't verify the specifics of the story, but it seems genuine to me. So my thing with him is just, you don't have to get into the details of your service, but stolen valor is a real big issue. And there are certain people out there, including myself, who are really sensitive to that issue. And when they see discrepancies, which were born out of Andrew Wilson lying on a TikTok podcast or whatever he was talking about earlier on in that video, no one would have anything that would cause these concerns and questions and cause them to want to put this pressure on to figure out what's going on with him. Somebody who has a history of dishonesty and bad faith. And I don't think he gave due seriousness to the problem of stolen valor, at least yet in this video. But I think he has done the right thing here. I think he's done the right thing. He didn't have to go into all these details and tell these stories. He could have just provided the details and made it very clear that he did serve. Here's the evidence. And that's that. But I also think it's good that he shared these stories. I think they're really important to hear and to share them. And I think it's important for him to talk about them as well. He doesn't have to talk about them with everyone on earth, but I think, I think it's honorable for him to talk about these difficult stories and give this information.
And that's all.
But not the lying part. The lying part is the thing he needs to stop doing. He needs to stop lying. He needs to stop being deceptive with this information. But when he's at his best is when he's being truthful and genuine and conscientious. He would be a much better man if that was his regular posture that he put out there in the world. Not this is why I hate the left. This is why all women are retarded, that kind of stuff. Infantile crap that gets in the way of the good, genuine human being.
All that's happening. So that was it. That's everything. That's the whole tale, the whole story that I never tried to hide from anybody ever. I just never discussed it because it's not important or pertinent to a thing I do in life at all. I was asked the question one time. I showed you the clip. I answered it honestly. I was there for a very short amount of time.
No, you didn't. That is deceptive. That's not why people started asking questions about this and making content. It was because when you went on the TikTok, that second clip that's shown in this video, when someone asked you if you served, you said no. And you said that because you just wanted to get on with the conversation. Tell the truth next time. Tell the truth.
About a year. What did my paperwork say? I was there for a short amount of time. About a year. That's it. You saved a young man's life during your military service. That's commendable and fair game to throw in their face in this climate. I just don't know why they fall for these leftist ops and why it is that I even have to.
Yeah, that's just conspiracy, leftist ops. I'm not a leftist op.
To bother justifying things that I've never made claims on.
And by the way, the stolen valor claim I made was that the title of the video was Andrew Wilson engaging in stolen valor, ? And then at the beginning of the video, apparently Andrew Wilson is engaging in stolen valor. Now Andrew has unveiled the evidence. And he hasn't been engaging in stolen valor. He hasn't. But it's because he lied is why the questions were raised. So the lesson here is don't lie. People should still be out there in suspicious circumstances like this. Call people out if they think it's reasonable that this person might be engaging in stolen valor. So don't change that posture.
My entire existence publicly, you can find no other claim than this, ever. You have to know they're going to do everything they can to destroy you. Stay strong, fight the good fight. I'm aware. Had a kid in basic that had cancer they didn't find until right before graduation. Also, for those people, try to unalive themselves all the time in basic, mostly because of the Fear John letters. Yeah. Real and honest is more than all those. That's it. And because of this, they have tried to crucify me on complete fake information.
Who's trying to crucify you? You were being called out. This is where he gets back into the politics, the overgeneralization, negativity bias. You were called out and you responded to being called out and you did the right thing. Congratulations, Andrew. I mean, some of it was done in the right way. The military stuff was done in the right way, but the points you think you scored against me, being dishonest or engaging in dishonest business practices, too bad, so sad. Nice try.
This is the official Andrew Wilson apology form for those who spread gossip, lies, and baseless slander. It is to be submitted to Andrew Wilson.
So Andrew himself has spread lies in this video. I mean, he has.
Of the Crucible, your full name, social media handle, platform where your lies were shared, and the dates of the offenses. The offense, I was spreading gossip, lies, or malicious assumptions about Andrew Wilson, and these can include, but are not limited to, and check all, which are here, false accusations, out of context clips or quotes, rumors presented as facts, mockery and personal insults, screenshots with zero context, or I don't even know, I just wanted attention because I'm a embarrassing human being.
So none of those apply to me, so I won't be filling out this form. I called you out because you were sending mixed signals about your military experience, and you did the right thing. Thanks for doing the right thing. I think it's good.
There you go. That would be great. Under section 3, the truth, exposing yourself. Now I understand either A, I was wrong, I didn't have all the facts, I was being manipulated, I let emotion override logic, I was jealous, bored, or terminally online, or other. And if you could please specify, I'd appreciate that.
I think Andrew's the one who let emotion override logic when he was going through and recollecting on our communication together on X. Well, everyone can score that the way you want to score it.
Also, there's a line here for your sincere apology. Write your apology below. Be honest, be specific, and be a grown-up. Also, under 5, this is your commitment to do better. I hereby commit to fact check before I speak or post, stop consuming rage bait as if it were news, apologize publicly where my lies were posted, respect Andrew Wilson, the work of the Crucible, touch.
This is interesting. Let me screenshot this. Andrew, this is the most important message for yourself. I'll put this up on the screen. I think Andrew did tell, he set the record straight with regards to this original issue today. But he himself needs to learn an important lesson here. And it is in his own little forum there. Right here. Grow up and tell the truth. Grow up. Become a better man generally. You can use your own Christian standard to do that. You don't have to listen to me, the atheist moral well-beingist. You don't have to do that. Grow up and tell the truth.
Grass and log off more often, or just be better. I also need you to know that you understand that the spread of falsehoods does real damage, and you take full responsibility and offer your sincere apology to Andrew Wilson. This is your stamp seal where you get to grow the up and tell the truth. Why you should do this? Because
he should be looking in the mirror when he tells himself about growing the fuck up and telling the truth. Again, for the record, what happened here is people, many, many people who were troubled by this mixed messaging from Andrew with regards to his military history called him the fuck out. And I was one of those people. And they wanted him to present the actual evidence. And now he's done that. He hasn't been engaging in stolen valor, but he has been lying. Where's our little badge? Grow up. Remember to tell the truth. So I didn't lie in anything I did, Andrew. I simply pointed to the contradiction that was created by your lying. And I said, the general sense of what I was saying is that it's reasonable to believe that you could be engaging in stolen valor. And people can watch the video themselves and see for themselves. In the description of that video, I'm going to link this particular video I've done here today. And And yeah, I'm also going to put it in the pinned comment so people can be directed towards that video. But the video I originally posted still stands. It outlines the contradiction caused by Andrew's lying. If he wouldn't have lied, that contradiction wouldn't have existed. And people, not just big bad Pangburn man, but many people wouldn't have had any issues and wouldn't have seen the potentiality of stolen valor here.
You went out of your way to lie publicly as much as you possibly could. You never released what you actually sent in to find the quote information that.
But there are people I noticed who were spreading around the positive claim that Andrew Wilson has stolen valor. Those people perhaps should fill out the apology form. I'm not against that. But never once did I make the positive claim that Andrew Wilson did, in fact, steal valor.
That anybody with the correct information could have found because you're a lying scumbag. That is malicious slander. Malicious slander. And I have no problem at this point in my career doing something about that.
It's only malicious slander if they actually made that positive claim. But you're going to have a hard time with those people who have actually said these things. They're just going to say, well, I thought I had enough evidence to believe the positive claim that you have stolen valor. And then you might say, well, that's stupid. They obviously didn't. But now here's something for Andrew. If after he's released this information and people respond to it by claiming he is stealing valor, he might have a stronger case. Maybe.
So you owe it to me for being a head and a lying, gutless snake. So fill out the form, send it over. I'll accept your apology. Piece of shit. Now that I've allowed all of my enemies to hang themselves with their own.
So self-righteous. No ownership for his own lie in the video that caused this, right? Andrew's got to grow up. There's still a big part of him that's this angry infant. He's got to grow out of that. Become a better man. Don't say stupid infantile stuff on the internet, that things that are framed to harm people or make people feel bad about themselves, or, transcend it. You're a Christian, come to Jesus. I'm not a Christian, but Andrew Wilson could go to Jesus. Start embodying that behavior more.
Own words because they're really stupid. Now you can fill out the form and say you're sorry. Andrew, you have to know they're going to do everything they can. Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, that was that. Andrew Wilson was called out by a lot of people on the internet, including me, to clear up this potential stolen valor issue. It turns out he was not stealing valor. What he was doing was sending mixed messages on the internet about his military service. So he was rightfully called out for that by a lot of people. And now it turns out he did have some level of service. And he isn't stealing valor when he talks about this. It'll be interesting to see other opinions, people who know more about military service and what they think. But yeah, interesting stuff. And also like outlining the communications we had, and thinking that that had something to do with me releasing this video about him. No, it was about the mixed signals you were sending about your military service. So Thank you so much for the super chat from Jas Zoigel says, for Dave, quote, he banned me. Destiny, quote, reenacting home theft. Kurd/Sheikh Jarrah is real. 1948 displacement court settlers calling it staged is the Bollywood inversion he rejects. Phrasing justifies hate, reduces victim to prop. Okay. Well, everyone, that was that. We'll keep an eye on this situation. If Andrew Wilson responds, we will, of course, respond back. Thank you all for being with me today. Please make sure you're out there maximizing well-being, physical, mental, and social health for yourself and those around you. I will likely be back on later tonight, and we'll get back to the anti-Semitism detection issue. And what else? And that's about it. All right. Thanks, everyone.